Now that Tron is going back to colorless, do you like Void Mirror or Damping Sphere over Break the Ice? I think Break the Ice is better than Damping Sphere against Tron. Damping Sphere is pretty good in all overall. Kind of hard to mulligan a hand like this. I think I will on the draw with that proactive one drop. Don't love this hand though, but I think we'll keep on 6. But yeah, those are definitely considerations. Could do a split also, like one Damping Sphere. Could be better than the 4th Break the Ice. Yeah, let's go ahead and just hold the. Maybe I should. No, I'll play it now because of Bowmaster, or cycle now because of Bowmaster. Not quite enough for turn 1 Shadow if I drew it. Hard to have 3 Street Wraiths. Yeah, Damping Sphere helps the Storm matchup and the Titan matchup some, of course. Do I Abigail the Frog? I think I'm going to Abigail the Frog. Seven ticks, I'll take it. I feel like they probably should discard one card here. They just don't. Okay. I guess it's still a 2-2. Yeah, the 1-2, the 2 toughness is pretty good. Am I still making profit playing Moto, or do you need to play for entries once in a while? Once in a while. I think that Modern's gotten harder to brew with, and I also like drop a lot more aggressively than I used to off stream. So it just kind of depends month to month. So we're gonna play this first, I think. And then if we surveil like a third type in the yard, we could consider heating the frog just for delirium for damage. Looks like they've got a counter spell of some kind. Are they Espergorios? I guess counterspell basically never sees play in Gorios. Let's keep that on top. Keep that on top, and then if my opponent doesn't play something else that I would want to heat, then I probably heat the frog end of turn just so I don't have to discard anything to the FOMO. Maybe I'm opening myself up to Ephemerate a little bit with this line. The Darkslick Shores kind of makes me think they don't have Ephemerate in the counterspell too. We also have the option of waiting on the heat till after we draw the FOMO so we get an extra surveil, but it would also be, we could also fetch for another surveil, and it would be nice to play a 1-drop off the FOMO. So we'll play the FOMO main phase 1, so if they have another counter spell, the Channeler is Delirious. They have Subtlety. All right, so let's surveil now. We could find Phoenix potentially. But we're definitely going to put the FOMO on top. Yeah. So they're going to have 3 cards in their hand. We're going to have just the top deck FOMO. So not looking so good game 1 against whatever this is. Esper Control, I guess. Got another one. Subtlety locked. Snared. So the 2 cards in their hand. The Abigail's kind of funny because if I attack with this twice, I can take 3 more hits from the subtlety instead of just 2. So we're winning the race. They hit me down to 3. I hit them down to 6. I go to 4. They hit me down to 1. I hit them down to, yeah, not winning the race. And they have 3 cards in their hand. I guess I get rid of the Channeler since this also exiles my graveyard. That is a nasty card to run into. Yeah, it looks like it is just Demir Frog that's splashing white for sideboard cards or Prismatic Ending. All right, let's go to game 2. We did just beat Dimir Frog. This strategic betrayal and the white splash does seem harder though than what we played against. So against strategic betrayal, maybe I cut some Nethergoyfs. Honestly, Frog against Tomio or Abigail against Frog and Tomio is just kind of fine. Yeah, I think the Abigales are actually surprisingly good. Let's go down 2 Goyfs against the strategic betrayals, which I think are worse than, or I think Channeler is better than Goyf against betrayal. Probably just Blood Crypt on turn 1. Yeah, also good against Tomio. Abigail as a removal spell would be better if we had access to Bowmaster. Wait, this is 61. Okay, well, I guess we're 61. Good to know about the snare. Right. Excellent draws here. Abigail walls with Arcades? Wait, how does Abigail synergize with walls? What do I literally no idea what the vision is, but I want to help me here. We have Delirium anyway after the Thoughtseize resolve. Seems good to keep a FOMO. Wait, they're just now pushing? Yeah, I really think it's better to kill the Channeler before I just get a bunch of Surveils. I know this is maybe. Oh, so I forgot they had the snares. Sorry, I should have not kept the FOMO. But I don't know. I just think that the Channeler Surveils they're worth killing main phase, and I see a lot of people just letting them go. So they play Marsh Flats to hold up Counterspell, so we will just get a Blood Crypt and get in. They keep a card on top, almost definitely removal, right? So they play the Sink untapped. They're down to 8, and they play 8 to Fairy. So good news that this is the removal spell, because now I can get both threats back underneath their hand that's full of counter spells. I think I'll discard the Marsh Flat so I will have access to a second Surveil this game. Add Luris here and imagine. You'd lose Street Wraith. With the Channeler, I think this is fine to keep. Without the Channeler, maybe I'd graveyard there. Imagine losing Street Wraith. I do remember when we would play decks like this, like Grixis Shadow with Luris, there were people who would ask about that decision point. Street Wraith versus Luris. Do you ever want to see another companion or good riddance? I think that you could do companion okay. Like, I think if there was like a companion payoff for elves or merfolk, like I do genuinely think that those could be beneficial to add to the format. Guess we'll kill the Teferi now. But do I think that overall companions would be a good idea? No. But yeah, I think like a merfolk goblin elf companion. I think all of that could be kind of cool. Okay, they subtlety pitch scolding instead of just counterspelling, which is kind of interesting. I guess they could smell the bait. I guess I'm gonna bottom. I don't know. It's kind of close. Suppose there's not really much point in playing the Channeler into the counterspell when it's just definitely getting countered, and it might even help them Quantum Riddler. Yeah, back-to-back 4-1s. So we're going to game 3. Let's go ahead and cut the extra Goyf, I guess. Although we still have 26 creatures. Maybe I want to cut an Abigail instead on the draw. I do have the Edicts now for the Frog. Abigail's like worse on against Tommy on the draw because like they still get a clue token, which is kind of minor, I guess. But yeah, I think I want to do this. Pretty small difference. If they do companions again, in parentheses, which they will, I think that they probably won't. I think that they know companions were really unpopular. I don't think they're likely to do more companions. But I agree. Like they like I mean that whole era when they were doing like every card was just maximized to the maximum possible threshold. It's like companions being hybrid and you could put them in play immediately, and they like made a bunch of card advantage. Like just everything about every companion was so nuts. All right, so we're down to 16. So if we find third Street Wraith, we could have the mythical turn 1 Death Shadow, but we don't quite get there. I think companions were the worst mechanic of all time by far. I think that the way they came out, they definitely were. I do wonder like if it was the new companion rule at first, and if none of the companions generated card advantage, and if none of the companions or if they're all 2-colored, they you spent 3 mana to put them in your hand, and none of them generated card advantage, would we view companion the same way? Maybe, but I do really think that if it wasn't for all of that, we would probably have a different view of companion. I think that we wouldn't judge it so harshly. So certainly don't think the mechanic is good overall, but is it the mechanic, or is it that the mechanic was very pushed, you know? I don't know. As a master brewer, does an Omniscience Lotus Field Twiddle combo deck have any viable chance right now? So you usually don't want to play Omniscience in your Lotus Field deck because your Twiddles give you enough mana. You don't need Omniscience, but we've had some success with Woodland Omniscience recently, yes, and we've had some success with Twiddle Storm recently, but it's kind of tough to be playing both. Okay, interesting that they don't counter the Shadow. They do counter the Phoenix. I guess they're saying they've got some removal. I think as a design, it's also poor. I agree. I agree that as a design, companion is also poor, but it's a combination bad design and too pushed. I think it's definitely both. Would you play a 3-mana sorcery tutor in your deck? Like a Grim tutor? No, almost never. Teleria West is a 3-mana tutor that it's good in modern. I think think the upside of drawing Unholy Heat or Cling is a greater upside than being weak against Thoughtseize here. Did not play around Bowmaster very well though. Sorry about that. Might be just a game losing play there. I think the way Companion was designed, right, where you could just put it right in play, that is the worst mechanic of all time. Why not play Moonshadow before attacking since they represent removal? Well, it doesn't really play around it. They just respond with the. Okay, so my opponent has subtlety, so I need to double spell. It doesn't really play around it. They just Moonshadow. They just respond to the Moonshadow with the removal spell. So you give them less info about what you're gonna do. Usually that ends up being better, right? Huh. So my opponent had Tommy on the hand, didn't play it, didn't counter the shadow, didn't remove the shadow, and didn't do anything. I guess I'll kill the Bowmaster instead of the Orc Army. It is kind of close, I think. Any learning so far? I do mostly think that Rakdos is better than Golgari Zanetti. But I'm liking the deck a lot. I do think a lot of what you said on Friday was swaying me. That the Shadow version is looking pretty good and aggressive. I think Shadow's been playing better than it was in my first couple drafts with Moonshadow. But I think that this deck is just inherently wants to be really aggressive, and I think Red is a lot better, or offers you a lot more than just green. So again, they did not play Tamio. They have Tomio in their hand, right? I'm gonna go back and look at the log. Yeah, they have a Tomio. Yeah, it could be Snare. I think Snare makes a lot of sense. So why don't we bait the Snare? They didn't counter it. They have Scolding. Maybe Scolding. Scolding I guess makes the most sense now because you can't scold the Shadow either. Maybe still Subtlety. I just don't know why they wouldn't have Subtlety the Shadow on that turn. But if it's, I don't know, but they also could have played Tommy and hold up the 1-mana counter spells. I just don't know. Does Moonshadow have the Shadow subtype? I know Death Shadow doesn't. So they do Subtlety and they pitch Tomio. So I'm just going to keep the Death Shadow on top. Now, we can't quite kill next turn with the Death Shadow and the Detective's Phoenix, but we are pretty close. They've got 3 cards in their hand. None of them know. They plus the Teferi. They play a Marsh Flats. I think I just want to cast the Graveyard Trespasser. I think there's a very good chance they've got a Scolding. This gets around Snare and Scolding. So does the Shadow, but I have the Detective's Phoenix, and I'm kind of interested in trying to one-shot them with the Shadow Phoenix, potentially. So they fetched down to 12 to Surveil. Shadow's a subtype. I guess, yeah, it wouldn't be a creature type, would it? I guess even if it was a creature type, it wouldn't get affected by, or be able to block a Voidwalker. So they crack the fetch, then they just pass. They plus. I do think their hand is Scolding or Snare. Although I guess they would have snared the Edict, right? Maybe it smelled like bait too much. Pest Control makes a lot of sense, which they just cycle. We weren't intentionally playing around Pest Control there, but oh my gosh, we drew Thoughtseize. Best possible top deck, best card in the format. You know, I think when was it that we were asking? I asked like what the best card in the format was, and people were like unironically Thoughtseize, like no irony in their voice at all. Thoughtseize. Oh no, they can instant speed the second Pest Control. I guess we'll just make them do that, but I think we probably still make them do it. But no. We could have just killed the Teferi and then done this next turn, playing too fast. So we'll make them do that. We'll kill the Teferi. Still in good shape. I think I will go ahead and exile the Moonshadow from my graveyard just to deal them more damage here. All right, so the hand is just a Spell Snare right now, so we're going to try to play around that with the Abigail. There is just a Death Shadow as far as creatures to go for the Graveyard Glutton. They play Polluted Delta. They crack the Polluted Delta main phase. They Surveil, which maybe would give me more Graveyard Glutton fuel. Well, I got like if they saw a Bowmaster on top, would they Graveyard that? Maybe not. So okay, well, how was it? We win. I was gonna cast a 2-drop there to get the Snare out of the hand, and then maybe grow the Glutton. I was gonna read if Abigail was in May. I actually don't know if Abigail's in May. No hardcast Street Wraiths today, much to the chagrin of the chatters. On the draw against untapped Stomping Ground, maybe Eldrazi? Looks like Eldrazi. Eldrazi has kind of been the tough matchup for this archetype so far. We lost to Tron last round, and then the the normal Eldrazi deck has been pretty tough. Can win for sure. Especially if they name him blue. So they play a Talisman, and then they play a Windswept Heath. They crack the Heath. Play another Sprawl. Name red. Sprawl, so good. They pause on their own end step. Would Blood Moon or Out by Moon worth considering? Out by Moon is like basically blank against these decks. Even like turning off Tron doesn't matter much against the K Command, Talisman, Eldrazi Temple, Ugin's Labyrinth deck. Blood Moon's also not very good against this deck. It's better against Tron. Splashing for Consign would probably be the move. Well, I'll see if they have Dismember or if they were just lollygagging. Getting another type in the yard or another permanent here would be huge to deal with, or not be weak to K return. And we do hit a Detective's Phoenix, thankfully. All right, so my opponent's down to 14. Wouldn't mind some Street Wraiths in a row. So this is 6 mana. Pretty critical juncture. But they didn't have imprintable plus thing to cast. Or 2 imprintables, basically. They do kick a Myco Spawn on turn 3. Maybe they'll get Bajuka Bog for the Phoenix. And then they can cast any 7. They do get the Bog. I just have loved Moonshadow so much. It's been so good. All right, they play the Myco Spawn. Takes them a little bit to get it resolved. Can't quite play the Shadow, Death Shadow. We do. Oh, maybe we can. We can. We might. If we find a another Bauble or a Wraith, we'll probably want to try to Surveil instead. Play Shadow to grow Moonshadows. I would just Surveil instead if I was gonna try to grow the Moonshadows again. But I think instead of just getting them to 2, getting a third threat in play is probably a little better, because there's a good chance they have Devour of Destiny this turn. Did I miss lethal? Playing Shadow to grow Moonshadow, Surveil permanent yard. Well, I don't have the mana, right? What am I missing? Like I drew Street Wraith off Cling to Death, so I couldn't. You can't both fetch a tap land to Surveil and cast a Death Shadow at the same time, right? Not without an Amulet of Vigor. So this is 7 mana. Could be Devourer, could be Ugin, could be Sire of 7 Deaths. I think we beat the non-Ugin stuff most of the time. Probably not K Command. Could be. Kind of looks like it. Or, oh boy. So we do have 2 lethal attackers that are going to eat up 3 of their blockers. I sure would hate for K Command to not always be a game-winning card every turn. Glad that Eldrazi players have that. Now, we are still waiting with 2 cards in our hand, and they are playing another spell. They decide to play a Myco Spawn, which means now that if I can get Delirium, I have lethal this turn. Although I can't... Although I only have Delirium lethal if I can also fetch Shock. Oh wait, no. Don't I just kill the spawn token? Looks like upon further review, it seems like I can just kill the spawn token. Shout out Menace. Shout out no second K command. Well, they could have won pretty easily there, but they messed up. Good news for us. Now, sideboarding. I do think Break the Ice is good in this matchup. I understand that it's dead sometimes. But I do think it's a good way to slow them down while we try to beat them down with their aggro plan. Unholy Heat I don't think is particularly good. Like, I think clearing a blocker like this is not that important. It's okay. I do think Nihil Spellbomb, though, against both Emrakul and K-Return can be good. Maybe we could play that over Cling, but this is also now our only instant. I think because this is our only instant, we'll keep it in instead. I really don't know how my opponent landed on the choice to cast the Mycospawn. Like, they had plenty of mana. I played Damping Sphere, Break the Ice 2/2. Feels like the move. Yeah, I can see that being good. I think I probably am interested in playing the 4th Blood Crypt over this 2nd Swamp. I'm not wanting to manage my life total as often as I kind of expected to. Well, I've got the combo. Although without another fetch land or a Wraith, we can't play the Shadow till... Or we can't play the Shadow on turn 2. A little bit of tension, I guess, where we want to play the Blood Crypt for the Moonshadow, so this can grow the Moonshadow, but we also want to play Fetch Shock so we can play Death Shadow turn 2. That's probably more important with the Abigail in our hand. Okay, I don't know. What do I think about the in-step stop and think here? I don't know. Do I put up the hand hider? Does it even matter to have my hand hidden in this matchup? They already saw it. Draw step stop too. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it up. I'd play Moonshadow here. I think I'm actually going to play Thoughtseize. Well, I mean, obviously, you can't play Thoughtseize or Death Shadow turn 1, but I think this might slow them down with their ramp, right? Okay, definitely taking this. But yeah, it's like we might have been able to take a Rumble or a Talisman to slow them down. I think they're just accidentally yielding in a turn. Yeah, maybe, but also this upkeep stop just disappeared, and there's just no way to know. And so, you know, playing it safer here always feels kind of fine to me. They might not be ghosting, though. We never know. Just feels fine to have it up for now. Last Ride. I did totally forget about Last Ride. Crew in response to targeting Last Ride. What the hell happens? Why the Lorwyn set had no impact on modern play. I mean, the elements is okay. I know the tribal decks got into tier 1 level. I mean, we're currently 9-2 on the day with Death Shadow. I'll also say that, or with this deck, I'll also say that we're just beginning our 3rd week, and modern moves a lot slower than other formats. I think it's way too early to declare that the set has had no impact on modern. I'll also say that, you know, while merfolk and humans, or sorry, merfolk, goblins, and elves all got a bunch of stuff, these decks are so weak in the Boros energy specifically that they have a hard time competing ever. They're also weak to some other stuff, but that's kind of the biggest problem. And yeah, I don't know. I think that Formidable Speaker has been really good in some other decks as well. I'm still, you know, I do this as a full-time job, and I still have like multiple cards lined up to test for the first time this week. So I don't know. I think it's too early to be saying no impact. So they top that K command, which means they can play Ugin on turn 4. Yeah, it's also okay for it, of course, for it to not have a big modern impact, but I also just too early to say it doesn't have a big impact or an impact. And it also is having an impact. I think Moonshadow is a modern staple. So they can play Emrakul or Ugin, I think, with this temple. Yeah. Emrakul or Ugin. They go for the Emrakul. I can Abigail the Emrakul, maybe. I mean, they'd probably Abigail something else, but it's kind of interesting that that's theoretically something that can happen. They cast the Death Shadow first, which does grow the Moonshadows. This is not a May ability. Temple can't turbo Ugin. Wait, did they not have enough mana? They had... Oh, they were one short, weren't they? Everything's balanced after all. So the Abigail in play does mean I'm not dead on board to the Emrakul attack. Oh, but they can crack a fetch to make me dead on board to it. But if they go ahead and make this trade here, then they can't deal me enough damage to be dead on board. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just Abigail the Emrakul. Oh, wait, no, doesn't it make it a 1/1? Yeah, it makes it a 1/1. Oh, no, it doesn't make it a 1/1. Duh, that's the whole thing. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe they were listening to me. But yeah, though they should have just given this the counters, huh? I don't know why I thought it would. That's just the whole combo. Wait. They untap their FOMO? So they can attack again and block two things. Okay, that's a cool line. Yeah, maybe they don't realize Abigail could target the stuff. So yeah, they do get to block both, which is good. Then they'll probably fetch fail to find. This Moonshadow goes to 4/4. They can't attack they can't attack it into the Emrakul successfully because of the menace. So now the Moonshadow is going to be a 5/5, and I'm at enough life where I can take an Emrakul hit, and they can't Ugin me. So actually, we're weirdly in fine shape. Weirdly in fine shape. Like this is going to be a 2-turn clock, and they have to draw something. We know their hand is Ugin. Did they have 2 Emrakuls? I think they had 2 Emrakuls, but they have 4, 5, 6, 7. So I guess they could play another Emrakul if they draw a land. They would need an Eye of Ugin for the Ugin. Yeah, so the Moonshadow's a 6/6, and then I wonder if it's better for them to surveil versus fail to find. Probably a little bit better to surveil here. We do have enough juice in the yard, though, for Detective's Phoenix, for whatever that's worth. Yeah, I think it's right to surveil here. It's kind of close. So they graveyard the FOMO. Now my Moonshadow's a 7/7. Maybe that's not better to surveil. Very weird game overall. So I can put them down to 2 life. So surveilling was always bad. Obviously, it was always a bad choice for them. So we put them down to 2. We have enough life to tank this Emrakul hit. They don't have that many top decks now with the Break the Ice. You know this as Menace. Why did you play your last turn like you did if you don't know this as Menace? Let's hope they don't draw K Command. Be saying that every day for the rest of my life. Didn't play around Lightning Bolt with the block. So they imprint the Ugin. They have 7 Eldrazi mana, 6 regular mana, 1 short of another Emrakul. Gosh, they drew K Command. Or maybe they're trying to cast Emrakul and they can't quite. Okay, that's what happened. Never mind. Whew, thankfully. We are 10-2 on the day. Is K Command 2 mana Demonic Tutor with upside? Well, it's kind of like, I mean, it's just like, that's almost disrespectful to call K Command only 2 mana Demonic Tutor with upside. Phoenix flies over the spawns. Emrakul can block the. Oh wait, we have Menace though. But they can go. Wait for attacks, exile the Moonshadow with Phoenix on it, make spawns, double block the other one, and have attacked with the Emrakul to win if they had drawn the K Command. How relevant has Abigail bricking future Death Shadows been? That hasn't come up. I mean, if you're Abigaling, you're killing your opponent really fast, so I think it's kind of difficult for that to matter much. Yeah, we should have lost if they had Abigail the Emrakul. Interesting. Just main phase kill a flame. All right, so kind of an interesting spot. To Thoughtseize or not to Thoughtseize. I think I'm just gonna go Death Shadow Abigail so that way I can beat multiple counterspells where the other line doesn't. And what's cool about this too is my opponent's shown me Flame of Anor Sheoldred's Edict, so this dodges Edict really well, and this dodges all of the red removal really well, and really is only weak to Fatal Push. And it doesn't exactly seem like my opponents had a Fatal Push with how inefficient their turns have been, or at least Fatal Push in their hand. So this is why we're not Thoughtseizing this turn. Could have been better. Do you think the winning standard list could be adapted for modern? I didn't pay attention to the Pro Tour this weekend, unfortunately. If it's the Badger Mole Cub deck, I've spent a long time trying to solve Badger Mole Cub. I think that the version without Formidable Speaker and with Summoner's Pact has been better than the version that we played with Formidable Speaker, but I feel like I've come pretty close to solving Badger Mole Cub in modern. But I don't even know if that's what won. Okay, well, should be good here. Yeah, I heard it was good. You know, maybe I kind of regret not watching, although I just, as usual, had a pretty busy weekend and um, didn't watch any. Oh, I don't know why I didn't think they'd just go for Otawara. Okay, that's fine. So we'll just replay the Shadow as a 3/3, and then hold up Cling for the Snapcaster. Could have main phased the Cling to get in, but I mean the Cling is just so good against Snapcaster here. Cub got demolished. Okay, so let me take a look. Doomsday. How does it win? Is Doomsday Excruciator just good, or do your opponents just deck more often? I don't see a way to make your opponent draw cards. Maybe that's not important. It's interesting. Oh, the Mill Manland. Cool. Very cool. As far as adapting that to modern, I don't really see it. Seems worse than Inverter, and Inverter is not very good. No, opponent, this doesn't have flashback yet. Wait, did they not have two Snapcasters in their hand? Oh, right, but I thought seized one, duh. Well, that's a bummer. I guess we're keeping this. I guess I'm not going to Phoenix anyways, so we'll wait on the Surveil. Wait, Avarice can target opponents? Target player draws through. Okay. All right, so if they don't find Fatal Push, they're dead. Okay, then I'll look at the Teamer build. Okay, so certainly we're not talking about this in modern. They do find the Fatal Push. They might claw their way out of this yet. Good top deck. Good top deck. Rough, says my opponent. So I guess we'll Cling to Dust again before they can Spell Pierce the Cling. Any 4 damage spell to play around here? I don't know. I think they could like draw into Snapcaster for push with like the extra mana. Oh, it would need to be 5 damage anyways because of the Abigail. Those two thoughts aren't related, by the way. All right, so they got top deck again. So Thoughtseize, best card in Modern. We've been playing this many Snapcasters. The Nihil Spellbombs should be fine. I think just in a Trespasser, in a Nihil Spellbomb, out 2 heats. All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Tough matchup to mulligan in. If the Street Wraith draws the land, we're cooked, but seems better than the average 6, maybe. Why does every land have 4 lands? That's just what we do on this channel. We flood. I love the hand counter spell. I think I'm gonna take the flame. Don't mind if they counter a go away. If I can escape it later, maybe. It'd be kind of fun to draw a Street Wraith and like bait Bowmaster and then just resolve both Goyfs through a through the counter spell too. The Cling is a little annoying, but what's nice is if they want to shrink the Goyf, they have to target Wraith and they won't get to draw a card. I love modern matches like this. It just feels so classic modern. Rakdos Shadow versus Grixis Wizards. Just gotta really appreciate these kind of matches when you play them, I think. And hope they come around more often. So they cling a Thoughtseize. And his island 2 mystery cards. Being like Daniel Gafford over here. It's a very niche cut. Should I have looked for Phoenix? I guess I should have looked for Phoenix. They're thinking about attacking? They have bolts in their hand? Kaito? I mean, I would block if it's Kaito. Listen, I can spell another type. Oh. So I'm down to 8. They're at 17. They have 2 unknowns in their hand. Could graveyard that for some value, but I think I'm just going to cling their cling. It does trigger the Bowmaster, which I'll be okay with. This triggers Bowmaster too. We're the aggro deck in the matchup. We can escape the other Nethergoyf or cling for life next turn. I think it's fine to attack. Gafford double double. His nickname on the Mavericks is the Landlord, so feeling like Gafford right now. This does make this a 2-turn clock. Wish you had him back in Arkansas. Wait, I didn't know the Arkansas had a NBA team. Oh, in college I see him. He's great. Okay, so we got 5 types. We've got only 1 sorcery. Probably need to take that. Sorcery, land, and then the FOMO. And then we may crack the bauble on their turn. Okay, can't crack the bauble on their turn anymore. Unless, I guess we could technically, if we committed to Cling to Dust on our own upkeep, doesn't make sense. So now I have to Cling to Dust my own Street Wraith to be alive. Not looking very promising. They keep a card on top, even less promising. I need to draw something. I don't think there's a big difference between being at 2 and being at 1 here either, besides second Bowmaster. Like to see that. It's pretty good something. So, see if they have a counter spell, I guess. Maybe I should have gone Phoenix counter on the Phoenix. I don't know. I'm just gonna play the other Phoenix. We'll see what let's see Phoenix here. See what they have. Yeah, they're playing just Grixis Snapcaster control. I wonder if they have Wand in their deck. They did keep a card on top, so we are probably dead. I don't know if there was a way to play around anything. Because all their stuff is counter spell, removal spell, right? Guess technically that's the one card we can beat. Do we not want the lifelink? It's just kind of tough because we like if I put a counter on the Goyf, then the Goyf becomes a 0-1 with the counter. So I need to I probably could have just gone Phoenix plus counter on Phoenix. Dead to any removal spell, you know, okay. Game 3. On the play for game 3. I think we're gonna bring in the rest of the Heats back in over the Abigales. Gotta get the Bowmasters off the field. They also I think I would play Juan if I was them. They probably have another. I guess they're playing Tomio if they have Flame. I would guess at least. They have to be on Tomio for Abigail. I mean, Abigail's kind of okay against Tomio, but I think on the play we can heat Tomio a lot of the time too. Hard matchup to mulligan in, and you can keep some one-landers, but not one-landers without one-mana creatures. We're a little gaffed up here, but I guess we gotta keep. Does Moonshadow go in Lutri? Probably not. So I think I'm gonna just try to use the fetch lands to grow the Moonshadow. I don't think we're gonna necessarily be able to cast the Shadow until turn 3 anyways, and we're pretty flooded. So trying to get max value I think is okay. Seems like they've got a bolt though. The Patron Saint, think with Twitch Prime? Good to have a Patron Saint, huh? Get a little cooked. I think we just graveyard that. Can you post an Esper list for comparison? I'll take a look at an Esper build. Obviously, there's a lot of ways to build the archetype. So they're going to Bowmaster in response to the Wraith. I'm down to 14. I could be down to 13, then down to 10. So yeah, I think I do just want to take another damage here. Okay, paid off, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like we can wait till the shadows are big enough to dodge bolts. Maybe you can here. Best card in Modern. The Odawara makes things interesting, to say the least. I think I am happy that they're chump blocking. And is Odawara Spell Snare. Now they've got a new mystery card. Here's the new mystery card. So we know they have the Odawara to bounce. Not playing Cecil. Cecil's got it does have a good amount of tension with Shadow. You can play both together, but we're not in this version. I don't think I'm going to keep that to take the spell snare. We can just try to continue to play around snare. We don't have that many twos in the deck anyways. So let's go ahead and see, does my opponent Odawara the Death Shadow their hand again? Is Odawara spell snare right now? They go ahead and take the damage, so maybe they'll Odawara end of turn. I do want to see what they're drawing, so I kind of want to... I'm just going to wait on the bubble to after they crack the fetch. Okay, they're not going to Odawara this turn. Yeah, I'm definitely really trying to cherish this matchup right now, because you just don't get to play such a sweet matchup like this that often. So they graveyard a Snapcaster, which makes sense with me having Cling in the yard, I suppose. And we see they have Lightning Bolt on top. So we know that their hand's about to be Odawara, Spell Snare, Lightning Bolt. So there's not really much reason to do anything right now. We definitely don't want to just gain 3 life because of the whole Death Shadow dying situation. Okay, this build is crazy. It's like just all in on Abigail and Dress Down doing stuff. I think I would just rather play good cards. The Aether Vial is crazy. It's a very cool build. So they do go ahead and attack with the Snapcaster to put me down to 5. So the plan is to bolt me and then I'll be dead. But I mean, I can just block the... Okay, I guess it's really weird because if I guess like, I can just pay this untapped, and then I can go down to after. So I go attack the Odawara. They're tapped out. Then I go play Death Shadow, untap Blood Crypt down to 3, Cling to Dust up to 6. I'm not really in danger of a removal spell killing me. So it seems like I can afford to draw a card first, since I don't want to gain life now, because then I'm not presenting a lethal attack, and that presents its own problems. Kind of a good draw, I guess, because that makes me not have to shock myself here. Yeah, we know their hand is Odawara, Spell Snare, Lightning Bolt. Exactly those 3 cards. Maybe I do want to shock with the Cling to gain the life. It's a little weird. I think I'm just going to hold it up because I'm just... we know their hand is Snare and Bolt, so if they draw another removal spell, we can gain life off the Cling to Dust in response without worrying about anything. So that's their top deck. So now it should be fine to draw a card with Cling to Dust because they're going to be chump blocking with the Snapcaster Mage. They have to, and so we no longer are worried about dying to the Bolt. Some classic Magic Online resolving escape card. Shout out Daniel Gafford. Shout out Daniel Gafford. 18 lands, by the way. Shocking here, probably bad against the Bolt in their hands. So we're dead to another Snapcaster if they get a red source off the Strand. And we're dead to another Bolt. They put a Swamp in the graveyard. Their hand is Lightning Bolt, Spell Snare, Mystery Card. That Mystery Card is not a Bolt, probably. Maybe a Consult the Star Charts, and they're thinking about whether to kick or not to kick. They pass the turn. Maybe that last Escape Cling was bad to not play around Bolt, Snap, Bolt. Looks like they have Flame of Anor. So Flame of Anor draw 2. I don't know why they wait till my turn to do this. There's not really any reason. Maybe they thought I had Bowmaster in my deck. They say GG's. GG's. We're 3-0. 11-2 on the day so far. Let's get a trophy prediction going. Close match. Death Shadow looking good against the Snapcaster Lightning Bolt deck. We're so back. On the draw. Shut up. I'm not keeping this. All right, they're on a mull to 6. We are going to 5. Since we knew they had Bolt, should it not have been consideration for them to Flame plus Bolt to Shadow? Oh yeah, they could have done that, huh? Okay, well, I do hate mull to 5 and playing against our worst matchup, although we did beat Eldrazi once this league. Maybe not worst matchup, but at least been not good. Bad. You could say bad. Could use that word. All right, so they rumble. They hit a Formidable Speaker, a Soig Microspawn, and a K command, or a K command. Does Formidable Speaker mean they're for sure playing Brood-Scale? I mean, the Sire of Seven Deaths makes me think they're not playing Brood-Scale. They choose Stomping Ground. So maybe if we Unholy Heat something, we'll cut them off of the ability to have 7 mana next turn. Probably we'll do that. Especially now that I can also play Death Shadow. You have another K command? Or sorry, like I said, they didn't cast this first one. K command. Single-handedly, like, lets any Eldrazi deck exist. it's like, I just don't know that any Eldrazi deck would be playable without K command. They do choose Scry Draw instead of Make a Spawn. But then why would they not take the Myco Spawn? I don't know. Maybe they just already have one. That's why they took the Stomping Ground. That could make some sense. We have 4 Break the Ice on the sideboard. Was, I think, a pretty big part of winning the earlier match. Okay, I was not expecting to see my old friend 6 here. I really, really, really want to draw a fetch land, so I think I'm going to try to. Failed. I guess now we can double block in theory. Tough spot to mull to 5 in. So our opponent is playing, are they just playing a Formidable Speaker package in regular green-red Eldrazi? I guess Formidable Speaker does make mana with Utopia Sprawl and the other lands, so it's like, it's also an accelerant. Probably copy Guilt Spire's list. I'll take a look if you want to link it. I haven't seen it. So they mill over Emrakul the Promised End, which currently costs them 10, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana here. Does grow my Death Shadow to 3/3. Well, they have 8. I've seen it a bunch. Seems like a new thing. It seems kind of interesting. I do think it looks kind of fine, yeah. But how good overall, hard to tell. All right, so our opponent's down to 11. We play another 1 mana 6/6, and then so they can't cast the Sire this turn. They could cast it next turn. He was gonna make changes this one. Yeah, I'm not familiar. What was the name? Guilt Spire. Username seems a little bit familiar. Very cool list. Yeah, I do think it makes some sense. Being able to grab Soulless Jailer for Storm seems like a nice upgrade. Maybe you could also play a Magus for Titan, which is always like your worst matchup. They crack a Verdant Catacombs instead of retracing something. Then they put the Sire in their hand so they can cast the Sire. gonna be tough. What about going back to the roots of Grixis Shadow, where you can play Consign, Stub, and Expressive Iteration? We can. We have done Grixis. I mostly just really like this build, honestly, and I didn't like the Grixis build as much. I just feel like being more aggressive is where you're right. I think trying to be obsessed with answering everything right now is a pretty tough place to be with how many things there are to answer. He's a streamer. You've rated him. Plays strictly spaghetti decks. Okay, cool. Name does sound kind of familiar. I don't keep up as much with the kids as I used to. So it's quadruple block. All right, good enough for me. Good enough for me. So I think this many sires. I'm interested in the edicts. Let's cut the heats, and then maybe Nihil Spellbomb is good against Emrakul and 6. Maybe I do want heats if they're playing Formidable Speaker too. I think I'll just try this. Just overloading on creature removal is usually tough. Like, their creatures are so much smaller than mine. Alright, did I see this? I'm like loosely familiar with this like Teamer Scapeshift deck. Yeah, seems okay, or maybe a little worse than okay. Oh yeah, the Explorer plus Flame. I don't know. I'm not the most excited about that for some reason. All right, let's keep this on the play. Can you explain why you didn't like Frog and Shadow that much? I mean, I did like I just like those two cards together. Like Death Shadow is just a slower, or sorry, Psychic Frog is just a slower card than I was liking to play. Like Moonshadow is so big, so fast. Nethergoyf is so big, so fast. Death Shadow is so big, so fast. Fear of Missing Out untaps all these cards and also is a card advantage spell. But Phoenix is really cheap aggressive. Channeler is really cheap aggressive and also really good with Moonshadow. Frog just wasn't as aggressive as I wanted it to be. It felt like I was playing a kind of a different deck almost when I was on the games where I had Frog. And like it's not like I had a ton of cards in my hand to dump, so I could make the Moonshadow super big. Like that just like didn't come up. And like Stub is like fine, but it's not like this big catch-all that it is sometimes. I've just enjoyed being a really cohesive, aggressive build instead, backed up by a little bit of Thoughtseize and creature removal. Oh, they go. Sorry, I thought they were gonna go Talisman instead of Talisman Rumble. They hit an Ugin's Labyrinth. They milled another K command, so one less to top deck against me. We should have fetched a Blood Crypt first. Yeah, I'll just go do that now. Skyclave is, I thought, the other four shadows. Who are the other four shadows and not Skyclave? Moonshadow. It's got shadow in the name. So they do chump block. Their hand is Talisman, Icesteel Explorer, Ugin's Labyrinth, and 2 mystery cards. The Explorer not looking too good. Yeah, I've summoned the spirit of Daniel Gafford this league. No, I didn't watch any Pro Tour this weekend. I've done any brews with Trigger, Double, or Kirill yet. Yes, that was the backup deck for today. Probably a good time to show that off just because we're not going to get to it today, but we'll probably start with it tomorrow. Oh, sorry, this is this deck. But I think it fits in Quantum Energy really well. Yeah, everyone said it was a good Pro Tour. I just skipped it. I ended up finishing Name of the Wind, watching The Mavericks play a good game against the Rockets. Almost came back. Doing some work. So yeah, the I've got Kirol in this shell. So I think it looks great in Quantum Energy. Like really, when you warp the warp cards, you get to also tap them to Kirol to double up on their own trigger. So I think that's really cool. And you can double up on Ocelot Pride trigger, White Orchid Phantom trigger, Solitude trigger, Witch Enchanter, Aang. So you can also do Felia. You can flicker 2 things with Felia. I think that's a little bit interesting. Technically, you can do Guide of Souls. So it's being a little laggy here, but I think it's a really good fit for this archetype. Okay, so we've been bogged. I think I'm gonna send with everybody here. If they block the FOMO, then we grow the they block the FOMO, we grow the Goyf. I love this probably just be Boros text. I actually think that Quantum Energy has a lot to like over regular Boros Energy. Like, you know, the Quantum Energy, weirdly, I don't know how weird this is, but at the Pro Tour, Quantum Energy had a much better event than Boros Energy did. And despite that, it like kind of didn't pick up afterwards, and people just kept playing Boros. But I would say that that's a really good evidence for there's I think Quantum Energy is a little underplayed at the very least. So their hand is Talisman, Ice Till, Mystery card. Uh-oh. Is it a Sire? K command? World Breaker. Okay, the worst possible. That's good news. Does get my FOMO. So let's see how I feel about my top card. Don't want to draw that. So we'll see if they chump block or if they go to 2. We can take a hit from the World Breaker, which is nice. Thoughts on the double strike trample spells to speed up and go over top? I don't recommend playing them, but they could be better in different metagames. Abigail is kind of doing that role a little bit. I think she does it better, and those cards I think are pretty out of date. So this does give me Delirium, grows the Goyf to 4 power, grows the Death Shadow to 9 power. If this is Sire of the 7 Deaths, we can force a chump block with the Sire. It is unfortunately not, and we have been devoured. And we have drawn a Marsh Flats. I'm out of Surveil lands. I guess we'll go ahead and Thoughtseize the Ice Till Explorer, and then plan to chump block and hope to draw another copy of Death Shadow. Flittering Nuisance is interesting as a tutorable card advantage critter. Oh, that one. I don't think that card's good, but I'd love to be wrong about it. Do they have enough mana to World Breaker here? Oh, they get Thoughtseize bugged. Oh, cool. This is really cool. Sack the Bojuka Bog to the World Breaker. Replay the Bojuka Bog to trigger the Ice Till. Cool play. They don't hit enough. They mill their 3rd K command. And we don't draw a Death Shadow, so unfortunately, 3-1ing. Does seem like the Eldrazi matchup's tough. Winnable. We did beat it earlier this league. I'm going to go eat some lunch, I think, instead of finishing this up. I'm pretty hungry. Going to start off with this tomorrow. We also have a lot of other decks in the Mox field. We've got updated Elves. We have a mono black, more mid-rangey version.